And a very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. on Monday, July 14th. Wow, middle of July. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings, taking calls at 888 658 0234. 888 658 0234. We have a flood watch in effect for parts of New Jersey. Showers this morning, thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening, highs in the mid 80s. It's not pretty. So if you were thinking beach day, this isn't your day. Let's head to meteorologist Mike Pavetta with a first check of the Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Hey, Ken, good morning to you. Yes, we had a little bit of rain, in fact, last night that came through,
Hmm.
wet the ground in some areas of northern New Jersey. But I think that is the focus for this afternoon and this evening with those flooding rains. Northern New Jersey could see some pretty slow moving thunderstorms that could put down quite a bit of rain. Here are the last few hours showing those light showers popping up on the live radar this morning at 7:01. Showing some of those light showers working through between Route 78 and Route 80 right now through western Morris County into the Denville and Rockaway area. Those will keep moving east over the next few minutes, and the rest of the state pretty dry but cloudy, and it's humid. Temperatures starting off in the mid 70s right now and staying there, warming into the low 80s by this afternoon. The dew point's very high. It is humid outside, and it stays quite humid and sultry through the rest of the day. So a few of these storms that are working through right now, not too much of a bother, but they do get quite impressive later on today, helping to be fed by that southeasterly breeze, pushing in a lot more of that moisture and aiding in slowing down those storms as they move through once they develop later on today. We'll show you that with the forecast and the future cast. Throughout the rest of the morning, just cloudy, breaks of sun by the early afternoon, but it's the temperature that warms into the upper 80s, makes it feel quite humid. And then by 2 o'clock, you see some of these scattered storms appear north and west of the turnpike. By 5 this evening, look at that radar explode. You have the shades of pink and purple in there, showing the intensity of the storms. And notice they don't move very fast. From that time through 3, 4, 5 o'clock, even through the 8 o'clock hour, they're practically stationary, barely moving at all, even through 9 o'clock tonight. And that's why there's that flooding potential, because it's just going to keep raining on the same places over and over again, even through 11 o'clock tonight. So some slow moving storms that move their way through New Jersey, even through 6 o'clock tomorrow morning down toward Ocean County. You tap into some of those storms by early in the morning tomorrow. Get some breaks of sun tomorrow afternoon, and then we do it all over again with another round of storms by Wednesday later in the day. So it's more of an afternoon where you'll see a big round of storms in the north and west corner of the state, some more rounds of rain tomorrow morning in the southern sections of New Jersey, and then still on and off storms throughout Thursday and Friday into later on this week. Temperatures warming again into the 90s by later on this week. So it gets quite warm around here, taking it through tomorrow and Wednesday. With temperatures back in the 90s after the rain today and tomorrow, we're in the 90s for Wednesday and Thursday. Chance of storms each afternoon. It doesn't mean that every day is a washout, but there will be some periods of quite heavy rain. We'll talk more about the flood watch and the severe risk with these flooding rains coming through, Ken. Those details coming up with another check of your forecast in a few minutes.
Very good. Hey, Mike, here's a question for you. Do
Mhm.
you still send cards for like birthdays and Easter and Christmas and stuff, or is it more of a gift and happy birthday and happy Easter?
If invited to a party and can't make it, yes, we'll send a card. Otherwise, bring it to the party. But other than that, nah, it's usually a text these days.
Yeah, because we're finding, Pam and I are talking now. Pam and I are a couple of years older. Well, I don't want to speak for Pam. I am a few years older. And my generation, you got card to the point that you always kept spare cards at home in the event that you were running late and you had to, you always
Mm,
had a box of emergency cards. That's what I was
yeah,
taught
we do.
because
Yeah.
otherwise it looked like you were insensitive or impolite or not
Hmm.
thoughtful. But Pam was just pointing out how there are fewer and fewer Hallmark stores.
Yeah.
There's more and more limited in assortment at the drugstores, CVS, Walgreens, um, and even supermarkets. I remember my supermarket, I had a Stop and Shop when I used to live in another place. And their card aisle was like literally when you walk down the huge aisle was one half from beginning to
Yes.
end. Now it's its
Right.
section. It's
It's
just
tiny
crazy.
and it's hard to find the specific event cards. Try to look for a graduation card or even harder, a baptism
Right.
card or a christening card. You have like two options. So it's
Right.
very limited now. Yeah.
Interesting. I end up now I'm finding I'm ordering online. But the reason and you could order from Amazon and get it the next day or whatever, but very specific things I'll have. But it's sad because I knew people who owned card stores for generations and they're closed. They're gone because they don't exist. They can't survive. But just very sad. And Pam was mentioning, she brought this up. She sent me a text. She walked into a Hallmark store, and as you went in, it's Hallmark keepsake ornaments for a tree and stuff,
Yeah.
Christmas tree, and they showed was and now. So all these prices have gone up between $1 and $5 per ornament, and that's
I
just
mean,
because
but
like stores have to survive.
sure, but that's also the price of greeting cards. They could start sometimes at $5 and $6 a card.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is why I think more and more people are getting them at Dollar Tree and things like
Yeah.
that. They're not the prettiest, but at least they still get the point across. But it's just amazing the way things are headed. But
Mhm.
anyway, had to ask. Just curious if I was the last old timer on the planet who still sent cards for anything. But thank you, thank you for confirming that I am. No, all right, Mike, we'll check back in a little bit. It is 75 degrees, very sticky, as Mike was talking about. We could get rain, a lot of rain today, so just be aware of that. In terms of traffic, take a look at this traffic cam. This is Route 3. As you make your way toward the Lincoln Tunnel, that's heavy. That's a lot of traffic making your way to the Lincoln Tunnel. It is moving. That's a good thing. So we're told right now it's about a 15 to 20-minute time span into the Lincoln Tunnel, but that's what you're going to encounter on the Route 3 to 495 cam. Other roadways to beware of, we have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 143C, which is Irvington, one left lane blocked. The down pole on Route 46 westbound by West Main Street, Rockaway, all lanes are closed. Taking a look now at the approach to the GWB, upper and lower levels, 80 and 95, upper on the right, lower on the left, very heavy. So we have a lot of heavy traffic, I should say, for folks getting into Manhattan today. We're told the lower level right now there is about 30 minutes, and it's about 35 minutes in the upper. The Holland Tunnel is actually your best bet with only about a 15-minute cross time. 7:07 is our time. Several protesters were hurt Saturday when a driver allegedly struck them with her car in Fairview. There is video of this. Somebody, of course, was shooting on their phone. Police say Linda Roglin of North Bergen was stopped at the intersection of Fairview and Anderson Avenues in Fairview as a group of demonstrators blocked the intersection, as you could see right there in plain view. A number of the protesters began intimidating her, as you can see once again, blocking her car. Now, if you're alone in the car and a bunch of people come up to you, wouldn't you want to do what she's doing? But apparently she hit the one guy's foot. And of course, now they're like, dude, you are illegally blocking an intersection. You are illegally holding her, which is technically kidnapping. You are illegally, look, that one person looked like he was trying to get the one with the flag, the Puerto Rican flag. I believe that's a Puerto Rican flag, the one star, trying to get into the vehicle, pounding on the glass. So she got arrested, not them. None of the people, because that tells you where the politics are in Fairview. None of the people who were stopping the vehicle, none of the people who were pounding on the glass, none of the people who were blocking the intersection. See, you're allowed to protest. That's in America. You're freedom of speech. You could gather, but you cannot block intersections. You cannot prevent people from going in and out of businesses. That's where you cross the line. And these jackasses, these know-it-all, these obnoxious, narcissistic individuals who believe that their cause is more important than anything else. We're blocking her. I'm going to ask you something. If your wife, your daughter, whatever, was in a car alone and that came around, would you not tell them to do exactly what she did? I'm not saying you have a right to hit someone with your car, although in Florida, they're telling you somebody does that, hit them with your car because they are intimidating you. It's like pulling out a gun and pointing it at you, because that's what that is. When you have a group of people coming around and banging, that to me is an attempt at my life, at my safety. So this woman got arrested, but I hope somebody out there, a good attorney, will gather to defend her in terms of why she did what she did. She clearly didn't drive into them with the intent of hurting them. She was just driving on her way. They blocked her. They threatened her life and safety, and then she gets arrested. Somebody out there, please, if you're an attorney, help that woman out. 7:09, a tragic incident in Patterson where police are investigating the drowning of a 5-year-old child in a home swimming pool Saturday. Authorities say the child was found completely submerged by family members, was rushed to a local hospital about 10 at night, where the child sadly was pronounced dead shortly after. The investigation is ongoing. A man in custody after a shooting at the Ocean Casino parking garage in Atlantic City Saturday night. Police found 41-year-old Robert Phillips with several gunshot wounds. He's now in critical. The suspect, 55-year-old Ronald Rivers, arrested nearby with a stolen handgun, according to police, from South Carolina. Rivers faces charges including attempted murder and unlawful weapons possession. In Clifton, New Jersey, 2 men face money laundering charges after allegedly stealing over $500,000 from the city of Clifton. Police say Robert Richard of Louisiana and William McIntyre of Missouri posed as contractors, funneling payments to a third-party account. The scheme came to light in 2022 after a large fraudulent transaction was detected. By the way, Clifton is consistently late in getting their city budget in. This could be why. $500,000 was stolen from the budget, allegedly. Both suspects have been extradited to New Jersey. They await their first court appearance. Edison, New Jersey now. Federal immigration agents detained 20 people during a raid at Alba Wine and Spirits Warehouse on Tuesday. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed the joint operation by ICE and Customs and Border Protection targeted individuals without legal status. The New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice reported agents checked workers' immigrant status, sparking local outcry. I don't know why there's local outcry. If there is due cause, and by the way, people were arrested, so therefore they were right in their suspicious due cause. See, if there's a reason to believe someone in there is breaking the law enforcement agents, in this case ICE, they have the right to go in. And if there are 200 other legal people around that individual, it's okay. They can arrest everybody to get to that individual. Hope you know that. So if you know that you are harboring an illegal migrant, if you know that somebody working for you is illegal, don't be shocked and have local outcry when ICE comes in with guns ablazing to arrest that person because they're breaking the law. Let me ask you something. If there was a kidnapper or a murderer working among you, but Ken, you can't compare kidnapping and murder to just being here. They're poor migrants. You don't know what they fled from their country. They could tell you, oh, I'm just here to make a buck. They could be, we now know there are thousands of cases, crimes related to gangs, murder, kidnapping, sex trafficking. You don't know these individuals. They could be the nicest, most innocent people in the world or not. So just beware. If ICE comes in and they have due cause, they have suspicion someone there's illegal, don't have local out. Don't waste your breath. It's your fault for harboring them with your illegal sanctuary cities. And hopefully that'll come to an end soon enough with Congress. 712, a Linden-based company is recalling 200-gram packages of what are called needle mushrooms. Take a look what they look like. They look exactly like what they sound like. Those look like zip ties. It's due to listeria contamination. LLK Trading's Enoki mushrooms come in those clear plastic containers with a blue bottom. No illnesses have been reported yet, but the FDA detected listeria coming from them during routine testing. Consumers are urged not to eat the product because a lot of people eat those raw. And even if you cook it, it doesn't help. Don't eat it. Return it, get a full refund. President Trump marked the 1-year anniversary of the assassination attempt that he encountered in Butler, Pennsylvania. He attended the FIFA Club World Cup final at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford to do so, alongside First Lady Melania Trump and several friends and close aides. The president greeted with mixed cheers and boos, mostly cheers, though. I watched. He watched Paris Saint-Germain face Chelsea, joined by FIFA President Gianni Infantino. The visit also sparked speculation of talks with Qatari officials on Gaza ceasefire efforts. The event follows Trump's frequent attendance at major U.S. sporting events since taking office. Hey, New Jersey, you want to boom all you want, then forget about federal aid and things like that. So don't be assholes. All right. He is the president of the United States. You don't like him? Fine. But some of us do like him. And we don't want to be the victims of your stupidity and be on the losing end because you have a gripe with the president. 7:14, emergency crews were forced to suspend search operations in Curry County, Texas yesterday as the area hit hardest by catastrophic flash flooding earlier this month faced another flood threat. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said yesterday that rescue operations were underway in several affected counties. Officials in Texas's rural and flood-prone hill country have said at least 161 people from the area remain missing. Efforts to find them are ongoing. It is 77 degrees now, 7:14. When we come back, New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. Flood watch in effect for parts of New Jersey. Showers this morning, thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening, highs in the mid-80s. So just be aware of that. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. And welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. 7:16. It is Monday. Imagine already we are the 14th of July, halfway through the month. It is a sticky 74 degrees right now, 7:16. I'm wondering, Mike, if I'm getting doused with rain right now because I'm looking at the thermometer. I can't see out where I am, and I'm looking at the thermometer. And I just noticed it has dropped a degree in the last few minutes, and it rarely does that in the summertime. So could that mean that there's rain overhead right now where I am?
Likely, yeah, that's the shower that's moving in across Morris County. I think that northern New
Oh, that's where
Jersey
I am.
could get,
Yep.
yeah, could get a few rounds of early morning showers, but it's just going to add to the steamy feel. Yes, it'll take the temperature down a few dicks, but beyond that, it's going to feel very, very humid throughout this afternoon, only adding to the steamy feel as more thunderstorms return later today and breaks of sun appear midday. But again, that helps to fuel more storms into the afternoon. Point Pleasant and Toms River, don't let that midday sun fool you. You have some storms on the way for later on this afternoon. Yes, you get a few hours, say around lunchtime into the early afternoon, of some clearing, but even to the north and west right now through New Brunswick and even there toward Princeton as temperatures climb into the upper 80s and low 90s and the storms move through later on this afternoon. Could mean some flooding risks later on this evening. And that heat will be on. Even right now, a heat index of 82 over in Newark at 7:17 this morning, and there's the temperature in Morristown dropping off a little bit, like Ken was mentioning there in Morris County. As far as the flooding risks, there is an area flood watch through 2 o'clock tonight, and you see some of these little highlights here, these circles in northeastern Pennsylvania. These are some flash flood warnings that have appeared due to those heavy rains. So already these storms are doing as promised in just off to our north and west. And the other day I was talking about precipitable water, how here at the ground we measure humidity and dew point, but if you look up into the clouds, there are satellites that measure how much moisture is in the entire column of air stretching up above New Jersey. Look at that dark shade of green, how it shows that there's about 1.5 inches of liquid water if it all fell down as rain in the sky. Basically matches that of the tropics down in Florida. So all of this tropical moisture, including New Jersey, heading right up to the northeast. And that's why we have a lot of available water in the atmosphere to make it rain quite hard later on today. The forecast rainfall totals through later on tonight into tomorrow and even through Wednesday could be anywhere from 1 to 2 inches, but this is more of a computer model average across the state. There will likely be some isolated downpours that could give certain neighborhoods much more than that, even as we head into tonight. So there are some of those showers working through northern New Jersey now. There's a lot more headed off to the west with a very slow moving front, and it doesn't even arrive until later on today. UV index is a high this afternoon at a 7, and with those storms pushing through, there's the closer view showing some of these showers working through northeastern New Jersey now, as they did last night. some of these light rains giving us a quick little downpour in some areas, but it's only adding to that humid feel. These dew points or the temperature where they are saturated, when they're in the 70s, and they are statewide, it makes it feel quite tropical. Again, these are rainforest numbers when they're in the mid and upper 70s. And that's the case even going through tomorrow. Don't quite get a break from the heat and humidity around here, even as we head through the middle of the week. So with highs today climbing into the upper 80s and low 90s, any sun only helps to spark off those storms, and they will come down, those showers, even through 5 and 6 o'clock this evening, with the heavy downpours and the slow moving nature of the storms, allowing for the flooding potential. Tomorrow afternoon, I think we get a decent round of sun, followed again by another threat of storms, but there's a better chance of storms on Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening, taking us through the middle of the week. Now, beyond that, going into Saturday and Sunday, we have another beautiful weekend ahead. Lots of clear sky, a beautiful way to start the weekend. Hey, as long as we can keep these showers during the middle of the week and kind of sandwich the sunshine in between, it looks great, and it does. Even through the early part of next week, taking us into the end of July. Lots of sun. So we're back in the 80s and low 90s this weekend, 89 on Saturday. Probably a better chance of a shower by Sunday. Still humid until we get to that point with this a very summery level of humidity here across New Jersey, taking us through the next few days. So if you're going out to get that greeting card, Ken, it might flop in the humidity just because it's so darn humid around here.
I like that. Thanks for the throwback. Yeah, I got a couple of texts from friends who are watching right now. They're like, "You still do greeting cards?" I'm like, "Really? Thanks a lot." So I've been sending cards to these people. I'm wondering why we haven't been getting cards from them. Now I know. Hey, I'll save some money. But yeah, it's crazy that they're like $6 a card now, and then stamps are like 60 cents. And please, By the
Aren't they
way,
up for like 70 cents now? I mean, they're a lot.
fun fact, fun fact, you can go on Amazon or sometimes eBay too, but just be careful with eBay. But you can go on Amazon and you can buy forever stamps cheaper than you can in the post office. And you say, how can you do that? It's because before they went up in price the last time, some people bought like $1 million of them and they're forever good. So they don't go bad. So you can get them at the equivalent of 45 cents. I shouldn't have said that now because now I won't be able to because someone's going to buy them up. But yeah, you can go see what I'm talking about. You have to search a
Huh.
little bit, but you'll find stamps, forever stamps online cheaper. Just make sure you don't get counterfeit ones on some like
Hmm.
sketchy site. But
Yeah.
you can save some money that way. There's my
Wow.
tip for the day. Who knew?
I like
All
that.
right, Mike. Yes, we will. And by the way, the temperature has now started to come back up. So I think that whatever storm cell
Hmm.
went overhead. I am in Morris County. I think it just went by because now it's coming. Literally, it's ticking up by a tenth of a degree. Wow! It just went from 74.1, 74.3, 74.8, 75.1, all in a few seconds. That never happens. So the sun
That's
must be
solar
trying to peek out.
insolation. Yep.
Yep. There you go. All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. We'll check back in terms of traffic, take a look at this. This is I-80 at Route 23 in the Little Falls area, Little Falls, Totowa. Just really a little volume, not too bad, but it was kind of a cool shot. We have about 200 brand new traffic cams we thought we would share with you all over New Jersey. We used to have like a list of about 25, 30. Now we have so many, we don't know where to go. It's kind of cool. But now we have a better view of where traffic is everywhere in New Jersey. Other issues to talk about. We have a disabled vehicle now at the Holland Tunnel. Usually the Holland is your better bet in the morning, but right now the South Tunnel, eastbound Mid Tunnel, the left lane is blocked, so there are building delays getting into the Holland Tunnel as a result. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 143C Irvington with the left lane blocked, and a down pole on Route 46 westbound west of West Main Street Rockaway. All lanes are closed. The Lincoln Tunnel approach, which is Route 3, we showed you a little earlier, getting heavy right now, but it's still only about 20 to 25 minutes in, which is not too bad. Take a look at the upper and lower levels of the GWB, the approach to them, at least from the upper level on the right, lower to the left. That's the 8095 approach. Oh, and the one guy cheating, going on the shoulder, is going to get a ticket. Don't do that. Right now, we're told it's about a 35-minute crossover time into Manhattan via the GWB. 723, former President Barack Obama was in New Jersey Friday, raising over $1.5 million for the Democratic National Committee at a high-dollar dinner at Governor Murphy's Middletown home. The funds will support Democratic efforts in New Jersey, including retaining the governorship and state assembly control. Murphy praised Mikey Sherrill, the Democratic nominee for governor, as a formidable candidate with her own governing style. This marks Obama's first fundraising event of the 2025 cycle, highlighting his continued influence in Democratic politics. He does seem like the one person in control of the party more than just about anybody else, the one that most everybody can agree on in the party. 724, New Jersey homeowners face the nation's highest median property taxes, that according to Realtor.com. The Garden State is paying a staggering average $9,413 based on 2024 numbers. That's far above the U.S. median of $3,500. So that's 3 times almost the U.S. median. Yet states with no state income tax and 1/3 the property tax have all the same benefits that we have, and they could make it work. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And by the way, our numbers rose 2.8% this year due to climbing home values. And by the way, they have the mansion tax in New Jersey for all properties over $1 million. It used to be 1% surplus. They tax you. Now it's 3.5%. So I took a look over the weekend over some little towns in northern New Jersey. About 40% of all the houses were over $1 million. 40% in towns that are like very pedestrian. They're not exclusive towns. So those people, if they sell their house for $1 million, they have to pay an additional $35,000 to the state now. Didn't realize that happened, huh? You thought it was just for billionaires. Got to be on top of your elected officials. Southern states, by the way, enjoy taxes as low as $725 a year for their property. New Jersey residents bear that heavy burden because you got a lot of levels of people and unions making tons of money. Experts say protesting home assessments could save you a little bit of money, yet many don't ever act on it. And it's now time for Politics from Trenton. Explained like no one else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Edge. It's Monday, July 14th. Sometimes elections are won by such comfortable margins that the exact numbers are insignificant, but there are times where elections are exceedingly close, and it's in those very close contests where democracy depends upon an accurate count. The challenges in New Jersey is that if you've seen one judge, then you've seen one judge. Some of this makes no sense. There's a lack of uniformity when judges make difficult decisions while reviewing the exact same statute. Last week, a Union County judge rejected a bid for a recount in a Democratic council primary in Roselle, where just 3 votes separated the two candidates. 3 votes out of almost 3,000. That's a difference of 0.1%. But another judge, this one in Ocean County, granted a recount in a Republican council primary in Ship Bottom. The margin there was 10 votes out of 144. That was a margin of 2.6%. This might be another issue with Assistant Attorney General Susan Scott, who seems to oppose any recounts at all for any reason. And there's a certain hubris in suggesting that it's impossible for a count to be wrong, and maybe a little arrogance in accepting such an argument. Nobody's saying that anything underhanded is going on, just that people and machines make mistakes. And what's basically happened is that some judges have gradually taken the position that they don't need to approve a recount without evidence of a counting error, not just the suspicion of one, not just the appearance of one, not just the closeness of the election results themselves. And if you think about it, how is someone expected to prove a counting error without just doing a recount? Over the years, recounts have verified election day winners. They've also changed the results of an election, especially in these single-digit contests. 2 years ago, a judge in Bergen County permitted a recount in an Oakland mayoral race where the margin was 56. The recount dropped the margin to 21. The outcome was the same. In Caldwell, a judge rejected a recount in a council race where the margin was 4 outright. I still carry the scars of an inaccurate tally in my youth. In my 1984 campaign in Livingston, election night results initially had three sets of bad numbers. They all showed me losing, all a result of human error. And even after those were cleared up, the Star Ledger, bless their heart, they added 400 votes to my opponent's number. It created the impression that I'd lost by 63 when I'd won by 310. It's fair to wonder why people seem to be so afraid to acknowledge the possibility of a mistake and just recount the votes. In, as they say, an abundance of caution. That's everything for today, everybody. Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much, David. And when we come back, the quest to preserve and restore our classic films, we will talk to a New Jersey man who turned his passion into his livelihood as he protects America's film history to give to the next generation. Flood watch in effect for parts of New Jersey. Showers this morning, thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening, highs mid-80s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:30, taking calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. We have a flood watch in effect. Parts of New Jersey impacted by that. Showers this morning. Thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. Highs in the mid-80s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. You'll probably see a decent round of lightning as well with these storms as we're passing through this evening, as is the case right now where that flash flood warning is in northeastern Pennsylvania. Lots of lightning up there. This is in the last few hours, showing these storms working their way eastward. They really don't arrive and get going until this afternoon because we have plenty of sun to help. But even with those showers passing through northern New Jersey right there along 287, working their way eastward down Route 24, you'll see some rains this morning, followed by a brief round of sunshine, and then pretty big thunderstorms later on today, likely with some flooding in northern New Jersey. For the overnight, that's where your threat of flooding is in southern New Jersey, specifically down the shore after probably 3, 4 in the morning into tomorrow morning. Yes, you could get a round of rain today, but better chances of sun through this afternoon. Also responding to that heat, where the heat index today climbs to about 90. And then as we head into tomorrow, back in the low 90s again, 95 there toward Mount Holly and Medford. So another warm day for Tuesday with that humidity quite high, even going into Wednesday. Could have those heat index numbers into the mid 90s in the northeastern corner of the state, 96 in Mount Holly, and even taking it through the end of the week, just 99 is how it will feel by Thursday. So you can see the trend here, getting warmer and warmer each day. Feeling like 100 in Medford Thursday afternoon, 101 down in Millville, and that heat sticks around even in through Friday morning. So a very warm finish to what will be a pretty hot and humid week ahead. We're far from the record of 102 set back in 1954, but there's plenty of instability around through this afternoon to allow for another round of storms later on this afternoon. Great day to head out toward the beaches tomorrow. Not so much today because of the threat of those storms, but tomorrow certainly you'll be able to enjoy that 77-degree water temperature even toward Cape May and Sandy Hook. High tide happening again this afternoon, allowing for a pretty great beach feel. But you have the clouds around for today with the UV index at a 7 and sunset happening a little bit earlier in the day. A low risk of rip currents because there's not much wind around today. Don't have any storms offshore. Hopefully it'll stay that way for a nice beach day tomorrow with the decent amount of weather. And then as we head into tomorrow afternoon, you can see the storms trying to clear out. we're back to some clearing middle of the day, but we're still a little bit unstable going into Wednesday and Thursday. That's why there could be some storms around with some extra clouds. But again, look at the clearing that occurs just in time for the weekend, Thursday and Friday. Another front approaching from the west, that will sweep through and bring back loads of sun for this upcoming weekend, Saturday and Sunday included. So we look ahead to a pretty rainy afternoon today, especially in northern New Jersey. Some clouds and showers around tomorrow. Better by Wednesday and Thursday. Just an isolated chance of a late day storm. More sun by then, but also more heat, and the temperatures start climbing, getting into the low 90s, feeling like it's around 100 on Thursday at times. Same for Friday. So a very warm finish to the week. And then as we head into Saturday and Sunday, less of a chance of rain, more sun, but still quite hot and humid overall. The shore points, not much relief from the heat, especially as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. And if you head back away from the Parkway, west of the Parkway, that's where it'll start to feel like in Cumberland County and over toward places like Burlington County, well into the low 100s when you factor in the heat and humidity. Saturday and Sunday also warm this weekend, but dry down the shore, so another good weekend ahead. We've been hitting home runs here, Ken, with these weekends, starting with the 4th. If you remember, 2 weeks ago, we had gorgeous weather. This past weekend was pretty decent, and I think we've got another one coming up, so good news there.
As our dear friend meteorologist Bill Evans, whom I just chatted with over the weekend. By the way, he's like the broadcaster of the year. You and I have to go to the function this fall.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh,
we
that's
have to go.
amazing. Oh,
And
it's
he loves you and he
fantastic. I'm
sends his
so
love.
proud.
He sends his love too. He's so excited for you. He is so happy about you. He adores you. But as he always used to say, patterns. Weather comes in patterns, and it's always good to get established into a pattern. So as you point out here, the weekends being nice through the summer, we will
Mm-hmm.
take that pattern any day, right?
Absolutely. Right. I
All right.
want this summer to be known as the summer with all the great weekends because, everybody just remembers the bad summers with the bad weekends.
Right.
Oh, I remember all the
And we've
rain.
had them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this is a good trend.
This is a this is one of the nicest summers I can remember. This
Uh-huh.
is great.
Sure.
Normally I've spent many a summer, most of my time in South Florida to get away from the bad weather here because I figured, you know what, at least in South Florida, you'll get a little sun and then it'll pour and then you get the sun back. At least you get some sun. And I
Yeah.
remember escaping to South Florida a lot. You don't have to do that this year. This is
Uh-huh.
like the
No.
greatest year to be in New Jersey for the summertime. So,
And you can
all
always
right,
tell
sir.
by looking at the garden. The garden looks
Yes.
great. Had my sister come and verify this weekend. She was here for her birthday. Look, wow, garden looks good. I was like, yeah, it's that sunshine. It's that
My
summer sun
basil's
here in New
already
Jersey.
going to seed. My basil's already going to
Uh-huh.
seed. You got to keep trimming the
Yeah,
flowers off to keep them
yeah,
going.
I know.
But that's how good the weather's been. It's crazy. All right, my friend. I appreciate you as always. We will check back. 76 degrees right now in northern New Jersey. It is 75 in Trenton as we go to the central part of the state. As Mike was saying before, it depends on where the clouds are at this time because of the showers coming through. Some traffic we have to talk about. This is as we go a little toward the Philadelphia area, because remember we cover the whole state of New Jersey. Route 73 at 295 is what you're looking at. Not bad. A little while ago, we had a little volume to talk about. This is down in Burlington County, Mount Laurel to be specific, but it's actually moving pretty well now. A couple of minutes ago, as we got that camera shot, it was very heavy, but that's the way morning traffic happens to go. Other areas to look at, we have a crash on the Garden State Parkway southbound exit 143C, Irvington. The left lane is blocked. Disabled vehicle on the Bayonne Bridge now northbound at the midspan in Bayonne with the right lane blocked. That's going to cause problems all morning long. Truck fire reported, New Jersey Turnpike outer roadway northbound south of interchange 14, which is by Route 78 in Elizabeth. Right shoulder blocked. A lot of rubbernecking going through there. So again, try to avoid the turnpike by 78 right now, but a lot of people go there to take the exit for Newark Airport. Just beware of that. Disabled vehicle at the Holland Tunnel, South Tunnel, eastbound Mid Tunnel in Jersey City. The left lane is blocked, and we have a crash. The GSP northbound by 143C Irvington with one left lane blocked. The Lincoln Tunnel right now is about 30 minutes in, and this is the approach to the GWB upper and lower level. Upper on the right, lower on the left. You can see the upper level is your better approach, not by much, but by a little bit. We're told it's 35 minutes at the upper end. I'm sorry, 30 at the upper, 35 at the lower. 7:38 is our time right now. And if you are a film fan like me, I was a grad of NYU Film School, Tisch School of the Arts. So film is in my heart. It's a passion of mine, and I know it's a passion of our next guest. This is a guy from New Jersey, and from Clifton to Hollywood history, Bob Furmanek has spent more than 40 years preserving and restoring some of our most beloved classic films. He is the founder and CEO of the 3D Film Archive. Bob is a leading authority on vintage stereoscopic cinema. He's worked with some of New Jersey's biggest names in entertainment, including Jerry Lewis, Bud Abbott, and Lou Costello. Most recently, his team completed a painstaking 70th anniversary restoration of the Abbott and Costello favorite, Jack and the Beanstalk, which had its world premiere in Paterson back in 1952. A lot of people don't realize that Lou Costello is from Paterson. Joining us now is Bob Furmanek to discuss his work. Welcome to the show, Bob. The filmy in me, from sitting in class at on 721 Broadway in Manhattan at NYU's film school for the years that I did. I got excited when I saw you were on, so it's so great to have you on. Welcome this morning.
Well, thank you very much, Ken. It's truly a pleasure to be with you. And, as a New Jersey native, born and raised, there's a lot of film history here with, going back to Fort Lee, which was Hollywood on the Hudson in the early part of the last century. And so many great, amazingly talented people have come from this state. And we seem to breed comedians and singers pretty well. It's a great place to live, and I call it home.
Was it Black Maria, the first studio from Thomas Edison? Wasn't that here in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, right over in Edison, still there. The Edison Museum is fantastic. If you haven't been, it's highly recommended for anyone with an interest in film and especially history.
Love it. So what first sparked your passion for film history?
I would have to say my parents, specifically my dad. My father was a home movie maker, starting with 8 millimeter in the 1940s. Got his first camera around 1945, actually maybe a little bit earlier. And I came along in 1961, and I grew up around it. In fact, when I started going to friends' homes and their basements, and I didn't see a screening room with a projection booth on one end, I thought something was wrong. I figured every house had one of these things. So it was part of my life from day one, really. And my brother Ron got involved with film work in the 1970s, and I became interested in 3D movies in the early 70s. And at that time, there weren't many vintage 3D films available to see. So I really had a curiosity to see these films as they were originally shown. And that led to my work with eventually building the 3D Film Archive, which we're still doing today. And it's almost 50 years later, which is crazy. I tell everyone I started as a baby, so that helps.
We're not that far apart in age. We're only a few years apart, but I know what you're talking about. And when you mentioned 8 millimeter, remember there was 8 millimeter, and then along came Super 8. And if you were really cool, you upgraded to Super 8. My dad had a standard 8 millimeter, and I remember I spent so much time, and my parents would go crazy. I would go up in the attic to this little cubby in the attic, and I would pull out the projector, and I would get the old camera, and it was just fascinating to me. I would like open the camera and see, how does this work? So I'm with you. The smell of the film, that there was just something about it that was intoxicating, and it was just magical. Now, you worked as a personal archivist for Jerry Lewis, for Bud Abbott, Lou Costello, three New Jersey icons. Hello, lady. A lot of people don't realize Lou Costello, again, was from right here in Paterson. What was it like working for these superstars?
Well, with Jerry Lewis, that was an amazing experience. I met him in 1982 by accident when I happened to be visiting my brother at Warner Brothers in Burbank, and we were walking around the back lot and turned a corner, and they were literally shooting a movie. And I said, okay, this doesn't happen every day. And I got to know him very well. He made the offer. He said, if you ever find yourself in Hollywood, you'll have a job. So I did what any normal 23-year-old. I quit my job and flew out to LA.
Oh, yeah.
And his manager laughed, and he gave me the keys to the warehouse, and I went to work. He was great. He treated me very, very well. I knew him until he passed, and we had a great relationship. He was very supportive of the work I did, uh, especially 3D. I think he understood my passion for restoring these films, and he and his partner Dean Martin had made a 3D movie in 1953 called Money from Home, and I told him, that was a title I would love to eventually restore. And lo and behold, we're actually restoring it right now. We're working with the Paramount Pictures Archive on it, and Kino Lorber, who is our distributor. And it's nice to see that come together. But he was great. The Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. Now Lou Costello died in 1959.
Mhm.
And Bud Abbott died, I think it was 1974. So I never knew them, but I got to know the families really well. And they hired me to be their personal archivist. And I scoured the world looking for unique and lost footage of their dads. And that was a good association. So I was very fortunate. As a kid growing up, if you're old enough to remember Channel 11 Sunday mornings,
Of
they
course.
always ran an Abbott and Costello movie, and to have a chance to then work with the family and help them secure and restore some of their dad's work was quite a thrill.
A lot of people don't even think about it in terms of the ethnic meaning for Abbott and Costello. You had a Jewish and an Italian comedian, and those were like the two poor groups, right, of the era. Because think about it, they came over the Italian migration of Costello. His family came over between the 1870s and 1900s. That was that first big migration from Italy, and then you had, of course, a big Jewish migration, Eastern Europe, and Bud Abbott's family came over in the early 1900s. These were poor groups, and they made their way by being comedians, doing vaudeville, things like that. That's how they made a living. And the fact that they teamed up, they literally brought two of the biggest at the time, fastest growing ethnic groups in America, and that's what made them superstars. So it's more than just like, oh, Abbott and Costello. People don't realize the history and what brought them together. If we could, I have to talk to you about Jack and the Beanstalk. What went into restoring that film for its 70th anniversary, and why is it so special to New Jersey?
Well, it's special because it was Lou Costello's first independent production. They were under contract to Universal starting in 1940, and they always wanted to do a color film, but color was expensive, and Universal would not give them the budget that was required for color cinematography. So when he branched off into independent production, Beanstalk was his first film, and they did it in color. And it went public domain in the late 1970s, and there were literally hundreds of really, really bad copies out there all over, starting with VHS and then DVD. And of course, those all started to be uploaded and streaming on Amazon and places like that. I knew how well the film could look because I used to have a 35 millimeter color print. So for the 70th anniversary a few years ago, we scoured the world looking for optimal elements, and we found material at the BFI in London and the Library of Congress. And we were able to do 4K scans and literally frame by frame work on this film to bring it back to life and present a version of it that was comparable to what audiences would have seen in 1952, including the gala world premiere, which took place in beautiful downtown Paterson. Lou Costello had very strong roots to his hometown, so he used that opportunity to stage the premiere at the beautiful Fabian Theater, 4,000 seat movie palace. They had a parade through town. Joe DiMaggio was part of the festivities. They even had a little beanstalk erected in front of City Hall on Market Street. So, Lou never forgot his roots, and he was very faithful to Patterson. And I'm so happy that now the city has honored him with a statue, uh, a beautiful statue in a park. So there are very strong roots to New Jersey, especially for Lou Costello.
I love it. I love it. And Bob, when you mention frame by frame, I mean, I knew it, but you reminded me of it. How many frames are in a film like that, and how many months of intense work does it take to restore and bring something like that to its glory?
Boy, that's a question I've never been asked, but it's 24 frames a second and
Right.
it's a 78-minute movie. So if somebody wants to do the math, be my guest. Uh, we worked on it from the start of the licensing arrangement with Classic Flicks to release the Blu-ray. We probably worked on it about 8 or 10 months. Uh, I have to give a shout out to my colleague Jack Theakston, who's a color expert, and he was able to bring back all the colors that the original film had. Uh, and because there are a lot of unauthorized copies out there, we wanted to make this Blu-ray release extra special. So we put over 2 hours, I think about 2.5 hours of bonus content on the disc, including a whole supplemental featurette about the premiere in Patterson and the tour that Bud and Lou did to promote the movie. So none of these projects are easy. And to do them correctly, you don't want to rush through it. You want to be painstaking and take your time. As an example, Money from Home, the Martin and Lewis 3D film, Paramount Pictures Archive scanned 72 reels of Technicolor camera negative for this film. That's 54,000 feet of film in 4K resolution. Those are huge files, and it's painstaking, but the results are outstanding. And it's going to be the best looking vintage 3D restoration on Blu-ray
That's
when it
amazing.
comes out early next year.
It's our history. This is our history. This is amazing. I'm so glad you are doing this. And by the way, yes, I pulled out the calculator. The 78-minute film being restored, that's 112,320 frames. 112,000. Every frame individually taken care of. And I'm sure that Abbott and Costello are looking down from heaven and their hearts are just gushing at the fact that somebody like you took so much care and put in so much effort to make forever this gift for humanity. The 3D technology in general has changed so much because it's all computerized, of course. But it's you have to input, you have to go frame by frame, as you mentioned, to make the corrections. It's not about AI doing it all. As you pointed out, when they use AI, it looks crappy. You want to be able to do it yourself. So, what is a typical day? Do you come in, like literally, do you come in and say, oh, today we're going to work on frame 12,226? How does that work?
Well, it's a little more streamlined than that. We we have to keep things moving. In the last 10 years, we've averaged about 3 restorations a year, and we've got about 3 dozen right now that are out there in the market. I do the work here in New Jersey. I kind of oversee everything. Jack Theakston, our color expert, is in New York. Greg Kintz, our technical director, is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And you know, we all communicate and remotely look at the work that's being done. And yeah, it's challenging. We've done over 3 dozen vintage titles. Every film's different, and just when you think you've seen it all, another strange anomaly pops up. You know, these were photographed with these massive 35 millimeter camera rigs, and there was always 2 cameras, one to capture the left eye and one for the right eye. And a lot of people think the old 3D was the red and cyan anaglyphic, and there were some done like that, mostly shorts and low budget films. But the Hollywood product was very high quality polarized 3D, which used glasses very similar to, say, what you'd get in a modern 3D movie today. And the advantage the older 3D films have over the digital post converted titles of the last era, the last decade, they're capturing left and right images. So you're getting natural depth. The best comparison I can make, if you were a kid, you remember the Viewmasters that you could hold up to your eye
Mm-hmm.
and look at that full color 3D image. That's what they captured on these old analog 3D movies, and bringing them back for people to see today, either at home or digitally in places like the Film Forum in New York City, is a great thrill. we love what we do. We're very fortunate to have a passion that helps pay the bills.
I love it. Yeah, I'm geeking out here. We're like 6 minutes over our allotted time, so forgive me for taking advantage of the opportunity. Someday we should literally go to Film Forum or someplace in 92nd Street Y and just bring in all the film students from NYU and just let them go at it for 2 hours asking you questions. If you ever need that, I'd be more than happy to accommodate and make that happen. You are an amazing treasure for viewers who want to support or learn more. Where could they find your work? What's a website people can check out more?
3dfilmarchive.com. And it's the number 3, not the word. And I would love to do one of the absolute favorite things is work with students and young people and take questions and pass this along. I feel healthy and I take my vitamins, but at 64, it's like, okay, you need to have someone in their 20s step up to the plate here. So that's great, Ken. I would love to take you up on that offer. Thank you.
That would be a lot of fun. And I'm so proud that well, I'm not from New Jersey originally, but I've been here almost half my life now. I'm from Westchester County, close enough. But I'm so excited that you are from here and you really do New Jersey proud. Bob Furmanek, founder and CEO of the 3D Film Archive, an American treasure. Thank you for joining us this morning. It was great to have you on.
Thank you very much, Ken. Have a great
You
day.
bet. You as well. Okay. It is 7:55. I tell you what, let's do a little bit of news. We'll forego the break, Pam, and we'll come back at 8 and reset. We'll just say it right there on the top of right there in the middle, live on the show. And we're going to pick it up with a little bit of news to take us to the top for those who are just tuning in. So what a great interview. That was just terrific to have our New Jersey native on there. It is 7:55. A driver in Fairview now faces charges including assault by auto after plowing through a crowd of anti-ICE protesters who were blocking her car. This happened at an immigration rally on Saturday afternoon. The protesters were blocking the intersection and then you'll see, they then came and surrounded her car. She was trying to get away after that one person approached her and she felt intimidated. Then everybody surrounded her. Now, what would you do in that case? People start surrounding you and then watch, then pound on the glass. You're alone in the car. If you were that person, would you not try to get out of there? You can see she didn't intentionally drive into them. She was trying to get away and these people are blocking her. Now, here's rule of thumb: you are allowed to protest all you want. It's America. In fact, you should protest if you disagree with something. You do not have a right to block an intersection. You do not have a right to block a business. You do not have a right to approach a vehicle, intimidate, bang on the car. That is illegal. And I want to know where the Fairview police were arresting those people in the crowd breaking the law. Okay, that was probably an illegal assembly. They probably didn't have a permit to assemble. I don't know that. I'm guessing. And then they certainly do not have a right to do what they're doing right there. And if I were the driver of that car, I would do exactly what she did because I would feel intimidated if I were surrounded by a group of angered individuals who are clearly unhinged. I would love to know what you have to feel about that and what you have to say. So give us a call, 888-658-0234. Tell us what you would do. Her name is Linda Roglen, the driver, Roglen. 62 years old. The protesters verbally shouted at her. They spit at her. And that is why she took off. So the protest organizer, Julio Torres, by the way, was among the injured. That was the guy, I believe, who got his foot run over. He condemned the driver's actions, but urged protesters avoid reckless behavior. So good for him for saying that. Several victims were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. But just, you know, it's okay to protest. It's part of America. You do not ever have a right to encircle a vehicle. And if you do, all bets are off because that person is going to do what they need to do to protect themselves. And if you don't know, you can, we weren't intimidating her. You don't know how she felt. 50 people, 40 people surrounding a car, banging on the car and spitting. I would do exactly what she did. So if you want to protest peacefully. Stand on a sidewalk. Don't block the sidewalk. Don't block a business. Don't block an intersection. You could peacefully and peaceably get your point across without doing that stupidity. Just saying. 7:58, a tragic incident in Patterson where police are investigating the drowning of a 5-year-old child in a home swimming pool. This happened Saturday. Authorities say the child was found completely submerged by family members, was rushed to a local hospital about 10 at night. The child was pronounced dead. God rest that child's soul. Shortly after, the investigation is ongoing. A man in custody after a shooting at the Ocean Casino parking garage in Atlantic City Saturday night. Police found 41-year-old Robert Phillips with multiple gunshot wounds. He's now in critical. The suspect, 55-year-old Ronald Rivers, was arrested nearby with a stolen handgun. It was from South Carolina. Rivers faces charges including attempted murder and unlawful weapon possession. 7:59 right now. When we come back, we have lots more for you. We're going to do more news, and of course, we have more at the top of the hour in terms of weather, traffic, and lots more. So make sure you tune back in terms of your calls, 888-658-0234. We have a flood watch in effect for parts of New Jersey. Showers this morning, thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening, highs in the mid-80s. That full Garden State forecast in just a moment. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We're seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And now we're streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/OnNewJersey. We're coming right back. Very good morning. It is 8 a.m., Monday, July 14th, 2025. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Flood watch in effect for parts of New Jersey. Showers this morning, thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening with highs in the mid-80s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. I'm keeping an eye on that radar for you up in northern New Jersey and specifically Morris County, where there have been another round of showers that are coming through. And this is basically what's going to be the case this afternoon, although at a much higher intensity taking us through this evening. So we had a little shower work through there in the Morristown area, right along 287, and another one just popping up, say, west of 287 over Route 10 toward Randolph and over in areas like Rockaway and Denville, even by Mount Olive. And so that's the case today. This numerous storms heading over the same places, allowing for some showers and storms. There was a shower from earlier today working again through that area over by Parsippany and even up by, say, Lake Hiawatha. So these are the areas in northern New Jersey, the areas shaded in green, that are under a flood watch through 2 a.m. tomorrow morning for some heavy downpours that begin later on this afternoon, right through the evening rush. Temperatures very warm at this hour, even though it's cloudy. We start off at 79 degrees, which is basically 4 or 5 degrees warmer than where we were yesterday. So it's going to be a hotter day today and a much more humid feel to the day. You really felt that humidity come in last night. It was very, very muggy, and we're left with that humidity this morning, downright tropical there toward Trenton. So throughout the course of this afternoon, when the sunshine returns through the day, it helps to energize the atmosphere and only give us another round of those storms later on. There'll be a lovely breeze coming in off of the water, protecting the beach locations from tapping into those storms throughout this afternoon, but you get the storms later on tonight into tomorrow morning. So that could lower some water quality, especially down toward the beaches after several days of dry weather along the coast. And then you get a big flooding rain that comes through, the drainage and the runoff creates poorer water quality for the next few days down toward the beaches. But not to worry, because it's not looking great for the beaches this week, thanks to the rounds of storms that come in each afternoon. First, this afternoon, by 2 o'clock today, you see these storms begin to bubble up. They work their way through the 5 o'clock hour, right during the peak of the evening rush downpours. And it's really the speed or the slow forward momentum of these storms that keeps them going very, very slow and allows them to drop copious amounts of rain over the same locations. That was a 6-hour window there from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and those storms barely budged in that time frame. So very, very slow, and that's what will allow for the flooding potential later on this evening. Tomorrow morning by 6 a.m. down the shore from Toms River through LBI and even Atlantic City, you get some rounds of rain. We're back to some breaks of sun by tomorrow afternoon and could get several hours of clear sky. but more rain is on the way by Wednesday. So another round of heavy wet weather, even taking us through the middle toward the end of the week. Thursday, also some more rain throughout the day, maybe some extra clouds, limited sun. And then I think as we head into the end of the week, temperatures really begin to climb. These are actual air temperatures, 95 in Newark, 95 in Camden and Mount Holly and Trenton. Very warm. When you factor in the humidity, it could feel like it's around 100 later on this week. So another hot stretch ahead after some storms today. We'll likely have increasing amounts of sun each and every day, but also the temperatures respond. Doesn't get very cool at night, starting off in the 70s each morning, climbing into the 90s each afternoon. Could see another heat wave, Ken, before the week is through, just in time for some sunshine this weekend. We'll give you those details on the hot, sunny forecast for Saturday and Sunday. That's coming up.
We will take the sunshine on the weekend anytime, sir. We appreciate it. And by the way, stay with us if you will right now, because you were talking about the showers coming through Morris County. We found you a
Yeah.
camera. So this is the
Oh, let's see.
287 cam at, see that? The 287 cam at North Maple Avenue. This is in Morristown, so right in the heart of Morris County, and you could see the rain on the lens. So it's moving. I mean, it's not causing traffic, but nonetheless, we wanted to show you exactly as you're talking about. It's nice when Mother Nature cooperates with what the meteorologist says. So there it is. So when Mike says there's storms coming through Morris County, there you have it. It's not a big one right now, but nonetheless, we just wanted to prove you right, sir. Not that you need proving right, but we figured we'd help out. We try. All right,
Thank you.
Mike. And by the way, just so you know, it's funny. I'm just watching the thermometer bouncing up and down, up and down, up.
Yeah.
So as we're sitting here, it went 74, 81, down to 78 again. So I'm guessing big clouds and storms coming overhead and passing, and as they rain, they cool down a little bit, then they go away, and the sun tries to come out, and so it's just fascinating to watch here. I love the electronics. All right, sir. Thank you very much. We do have now, as a result of the rain in the region in northern New Jersey, we have a lot of traffic now starting, accidents all over the place. You remember when the roadway first gets wet with rain, any oils built up from the gas and whatnot, the exhaust of cars tends to be very slick. And that's what we have here. So let's take a look. We have a disabled bus now at the Lincoln Tunnel Center Tunnel eastbound. That's the New Jersey side, Weehawken. So the left lane is blocked. That's causing delays going into, in fact, let's try this live on the air. If you go to the Route 3 tour or the 495 tour, Pam, go to the 495 tour, and let's find a cam for everybody. Let's go to the 495 tour, Route 3, camera 2. NJ3, camera 2 at the 495 tour. Let's show everybody what's happening now. Thank you. That's Pam is just amazing. So this is the result of what I just told you about. There's a disabled bus at the Lincoln Tunnel Center Tunnel eastbound. So this, within half a mile, wraps around to the right, and that goes into the helix on 495. That's what gets you into Manhattan through the Lincoln Tunnel. And because of that disabled vehicle, disabled bus, I should say, in the center tunnel, it's causing that. So now we're talking 35 to 40 minutes in via the Lincoln Tunnel as a result. There you go. Again, thank you for cooperating, cameras. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound, south of exit 127, which is Woodbridge Township. All lanes are open, vehicles on the right shoulder, but that's causing a lot of rubbernecking through the area. We have a disabled vehicle on the Bayonne Bridge, northbound midspan in Bayonne. The right lane is blocked, and a truck fire on the Turnpike Outer Roadway, northbound, south of interchange 14 in Elizabeth. And that's near Newark Airport, by the way. The right shoulder is blocked, causing a lot of delays through there. Crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound at exit 143C, which is Irvington. The left lane is blocked. The approach to the GWB right now, upper and lower levels, pretty heavy. On the upper level approach, as you can see on the right, the lower level is definitely your way to go. On the left side, you're talking about a 10-minute difference in making your way into Manhattan. It's about 30 minutes in the upper and 20 minutes on the lower. Holland Tunnel is very heavy right now from residual issues from an earlier incident in the mid-tunnel. So your best bet is that lower level of the GWB. 8:07 is our time right now. In Clifton, New Jersey, two men face money laundering charges after allegedly stealing over $500,000 from the city. Police say Robert Richard of Louisiana and William McIntyre of Missouri posed as contractors, funneling payments to a third-party account. The scheme came to light in 2022 after a large fraudulent transaction was detected. Now, mind you, the city of Clifton, we just announced this last week. They'd been having problems getting their budgets in on time because they've been short of money. Well, these folks were accused of funneling $500,000 of Clifton money away. So think about that. Both suspects have been extradited to New Jersey to await their first court appearance. 808 in Edison, New Jersey, federal immigration agents have detained 20 people during a raid at Alba Wine and Spirits Warehouse on Tuesday. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed the joint operation by ICE and Customs and Border Protection targeting individuals without legal status. Now, shock, shock, shock. The New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice reported agents checked workers' immigration status, sparking local outcry. Why should there be local outcry? Is it still not clear? It is against the law to be in the country illegally. If you are fleeing your country because of persecution of some sort, you can go to a border checkpoint and say, I am fleeing because I am being persecuted back in name your country. And then you will be granted special status and a hearing. Okay. Most of these people haven't done that. They snuck in, or they were allowed to sneak in through the Biden administration. That doesn't mean they can stay. And they have been told over and over again, any of those people, anyone here illegally, can leave on their own and they will not be persecuted or prosecuted. They could just get their stuff and go back to their country. And then when they're in their country, apply for citizenship that way. And they can do so legally and they will not have to deal with the mean old ICE agents. But if you stay and take your chances, that's what happens. So why is anyone still outraged and upset? Nobody is holding the folks who got here. They got here somehow, so they could go somehow. And I'm not saying they could go forever. I would love to have them back. Just come back legally. And my family came here legally. My family had to go through a third country. I had to go through Argentina to get here in many cases. You can come here legally. Okay? There are 1 to 2 million humans who come here legally every year. Every year. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It may cost you money. It may take you years, but something good is worth waiting for. And cutting the line and telling middle finger, and yes, you saw me give the middle finger to everybody else who waited patiently to come in legally and go through the proper channels. It is not fair. By the way, if everybody who was poor on the planet wanted to migrate to our country, the country wouldn't exist. About 2 billion people on the planet Earth are poor. So you can't just say, all right, everybody come on in, because the United States would no longer exist. So there's got to be a means to do it. And for those of you who say, but Ken, the immigration system is broken. No, it's not. It's worked fine for 250 years. You just have to go through the process. Broken means what? What, should we have open borders and anyone could come in at any time? It wouldn't work. It would end our country. No other country on the planet has open borders. Doesn't exist. So if you want the process, go through the process. Go back to the country from whence you came if you are here illegally. If you are here legally, God bless you. I am proud to call you my fellow citizen or legal resident. If you are not here legally, just go back to the country you came from and apply to come here legally. That's it. And you won't be stunned by ICE agents breaking in and arresting you. And anyone else, you shouldn't be having local outcry, because you still keep acting like number one, this isn't legality. And number two, like they don't have a right. If you don't like the law, friggin' change the law. It's what the law says. It's to prevent a free-for-all. There's only so much money and so much space in our country, people. You can't have a free-for-all. It is 8:12 right now. A Linden-based company is recalling 200-gram packages of so-called needle mushrooms due to listeria contamination. LLK Trading's Enoki mushrooms come in clear plastic with a blue bottom. No illnesses have been reported as of yet, but the FDA did detect listeria during routine testing. Consumers are urged not to eat the product and to return it for a full refund. President Trump marked the one-year anniversary of the assassination attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania, by attending the FIFA Club World Cup final at MetLife in East Rutherford, alongside First Lady Melania and close aides. The president was greeted by a lot of cheers, some boos, watched Paris Saint-Germain face Chelsea, joined by FIFA President Gianni Infantino. The visit also sparked speculation of talks with Qatari officials on Gaza ceasefire efforts. This event follows Trump's frequent attendance at major U.S. sporting events since taking office. New Jersey's homeowners face the nation's highest median property taxes, according to Realtor.com. The Garden State paying a staggering $9,413 on average in 2024, far above the U.S. median of only $3,500, nearly 3 times the amount that everyone else pays. That rose 2.8% this year due to climbing home values and due to also hikes in taxes in Trenton. While southern states enjoy taxes as low as $725 a year, $725 a year, and they get all the benefits. They have state police, they have good schools, everything that we have, except they don't have to pay $10,000 a year to $20,000 a year. I know people in North Caldwell paying $25,000 and $30,000 a year in property taxes. People in Bergen County paying $50,000. That's just ridiculous. New Jersey residents bear a very heavy burden, and it's all because of mismanagement, unions, it's Trenton thuggery. Experts say protesting home assessments could save you a little bit of money. Always, always, always grieve your taxes, because the worst they could do is say no. They're not going to hike them because you grieve them. You might get a little discount. Grieve them. Be a pain in the ass of the people in your town, because they don't have a problem being a pain in your ass when they raise your taxes. Think about it. 8:14 tragedy in Lexington, Kentucky yesterday as 2 women were killed in a shooting while they were at church. Police say it all started just before noon when a man shot a state trooper near the city's airport during a traffic stop. The driver allegedly shot the trooper, then fled, carjacking another car in the process. He drove 15 miles to Richmond Road Baptist Church, where he may have had a connection with people at that church. 3 responding officers shot the suspect, who was declared dead at the scene. It is 79 degrees now at 8:15. When we come back, the tragic flooding in Texas has left scores of families with loved ones to bury and many more people homeless. Now at least one business in our area stepping up to help. Flood watch in effect, speaking of which, for parts of New Jersey. Showers this morning, thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening, highs mid-80s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast. Also, we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:16, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. We have a flood watch in effect for parts of New Jersey. Showers this morning, thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening, highs in the mid-80s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Mike, I think another storm might be passing Morris County because the temperature just dropped again.
Yeah, that's going to be the case throughout this afternoon, especially. I'll show you the futurecast, which puts down a lot of rain in a very short amount of time, Ken, and that'll happen later today. It could coincide with the evening rush, which is always a problem, especially with today, people getting back to work, out to camp, getting those kids home later on this evening could be quite challenging, especially in those heavy downpours with the thunder and lightning. So as temperatures climb into the upper 80s, it's going to be a very warm and humid start to the day. It'll feel humid all through this afternoon, 82 as your current heat index at 817 this morning, and we only climb from there. So it's very warm and humid. The muggy weather due to that light southerly breeze pushing in more of that humidity and helping to spark off those storms, which are just off to our west. Yes, at times we will see the sun today, right around the lunch hour. UV index is at a 7, which is high. And there's what Ken is talking about, right over northern New Jersey there, west of 287, you have these storms that keep coming through, these showers and downpours. Another one popping up right there, working its way across Route 80 and even out over by 280 right now. That only adding to the very humid feel. So the dew point quite high, almost tropical at this hour, and will stay that way through the middle of the week, even through Wednesday and Thursday. Dew points in the 70s, upper 70s is like rainforest levels of humidity. So very, very warm. Then we also look at not only at the surface, what the humidity feels like, but right through the cloud deck into the higher column of air. And this dark shade of green you see here that extends all the way down to the tropics, well, it feels quite tropical here in New Jersey, and that's due to the high level of water content in the atmosphere, known as precipitable water, upwards of 1.5 to 2 inches. So the futurecast today into this evening shows all of these storms coming through, and they move very slowly. Notice from late this afternoon into early this evening, the storms really don't budge. They stay over the same place, dumping a lot of rainfall, aiding to the flooding potential. There will be some showers tomorrow morning, but likely some breaks of sun later on tomorrow afternoon, helping to warm us up. But then another round of rain comes in later on Wednesday. So what does that look like for the forecast rainfall totals? Note the time here, 5 o'clock in the evening today, and you see anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 inch of rain in Newark. Watch what happens when I move the clock just a few hours ahead to 8 or 9 o'clock this evening. That jumps into the 2 to 4 inch range in some areas, like it does down toward Trenton. Computer just picking up another thunderstorm here toward Trenton. 4 to 7 inches of rainfall estimated. And again, this is a computer model. It was higher over toward Newark. Now I put that cell toward central New Jersey. So this is why there's a flooding risk, and it could turn into a flash flooding risk if these storms hold together and they move slowly. So in urban areas, that is very dangerous, especially given the amount of moisture headed in with these storms later on this evening. Be weather aware today. Keep an eye to the storms, and if your phone goes off with that, end of days weather emergency alert, take it seriously, especially given how these storms are quite volatile. The good news is it clears out for this weekend. We've got beautiful weather on the way after a hot week ahead. Saturday and Sunday look very pretty, and then by early next week, I think we could see the storms return yet again. So the weekend looking great. Lots of sunshine on Saturday, a lovely northwesterly wind, and then maybe a passing shower later on Sunday. Overall, not terribly hot with 88 degrees both days, but I think it'll get hot before then with a solid stretch of 90s coming up later this week. I'll show you that, Ken, coming up on the 7-day forecast. Can you believe that? The weather model spitting out 4 to 7 inches of rain in the update. That happened during the commercial break because I had it set to show the high amount of rain for Newark, and it's just updating for Trenton now.
That is I mean, 4 to 7 inches is a lot because there's no place
Mhm.
for that to drain. It's not like we're in
No.
Florida where you have sand. At the
Yeah.
shore, maybe, right? But once you get inland and you have concrete, especially in the cities, there's really
Yeah.
nowhere for the water to go. So how quick an amount of time is that expected to dump? Does it tell you? Or because that's how
That
you
was in
determine the
that
flood.
short 2 to 3 hour time frame because it's think of your average New Jersey thunderstorm, which usually would give you a round of
Yeah.
rain, moves by in a half hour to an hour, and then clears out. These storms will just be sitting over the same place and dumping all of this rain because they're just not moving. The air is very stagnant, and there's no steering wind pushing them out to sea or moving them to a new location.
Yeah, I mean, just from all my years of reporting when I was at Channel 7, I remember when you would hear something like even 4 to 6 inches
Yeah.
usually would result in Newark having a foot of standing water.
Mhm.
So that's scary. When you hear 5, you said 4 to 7 inches in that
That's
time?
yeah. Again, a computer estimate, so it could be less,
Right.
but still, to see that 12 hours before, or even 8 hours before the storm is expected to arrive, that's pretty good data.
Well, then everyone should just beware, try to avoid travel at that time, be where you have to be before then, and pay attention. We'll look forward to your next update, Mike. I'm sure you want to get back to the computer and get more specific with it, but that's pretty amazing. It's a huge amount of rain. Thank you so much for that, Mike. So be warned now. They're giving us a flood watch in effect. And at some point, would it upgrade to a flood warning? And when would that happen?
That usually happens around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the reason for that is right now, well, just a few minutes ago at 8 a.m., the weather balloons across the world all go up. They go up at 12Z and 0Z, Greenwich Mean Time. So it takes a few hours for the computers to process the data, and it's usually ready just after lunchtime. So once the meteorologists at the Weather Service pour over the data, and then they put the alerts out, usually early afternoon.
I'm so glad we have you, Mike. Thank you so much. You're amazing. All right, we'll check back with you, and we'll definitely stay on top of this. This is the story now, so we appreciate that. Yeah, that is you can't mess with that. 76 degrees right now we have, uh, both in northern and central New Jersey. So again, just beware in the early afternoon. We're talking about massive amounts of rain being predicted. Doesn't mean it'll definitely happen, but the way it looks at this hour, as Mike was saying, and we're talking about afternoon, we're not talking about morning. We have a little rain this morning. We're talking late afternoon and into this evening. Massive amounts of thunderstorms, heavy rain, 4 to 7 inches in a few hours is a lot for any area to get. So, you know what? Let's forego traffic because I don't want to keep our guest waiting, Pam, if that's okay. Our guest has been very polite waiting there. So let's get to our guest. Thank you. 8:23 right now. Casano's Pizza Parlor making a big impact for communities hit by recent floods in Texas. Here we're talking about floods. This Wednesday, July 16th, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., they are donating 20% of all proceeds to the Texas Flood Relief Fund. It is a night of purpose-driven pizza, and they're inviting the community to join in. And joining us now remotely is Casano's owner, Dave Ligas, who is going to share more about this heartfelt initiative. Dave, thanks for being with us from a fellow former pizzeria owner. Nice to have you on the show. And I know the sweat and tears. I used to take the blocks of grande cheese and grind them in the Hobart at 11:30 at night. So I know exactly what you have to do at your pizzeria. It's a lot of work. So first of all, welcome. Good to have you on this morning.
Good morning, Ken.
You
Thanks for
bet.
having
Well,
me on.
my pleasure, sir. And you're in Rutherford, so we probably have a lot of friends in common in that area. What inspired Casanos to host this purpose-driven pizza night and to donate that 20% is a lot of the proceeds to the Texas Flood Relief Fund? So why is this so close to your heart?
Well, we do a fundraiser. We try to do one as often as possible. Once a month, we have a built-in fundraiser. I'll speak about later. Um, but just seeing the devastation down in Texas, I mean, talking about, I believe it's 34 children alone that died. So we really wanted to jump in and help. We always look for an opportunity to help out whoever's in need at the time. Do as much as we can. There's only so much we could do, but we do what we can to help whatever community really needs the help at the time.
And your restaurant, as you mentioned, it's all about bringing people together for shared meals and stories. I bet your place packs when people are making their way to like getting there before a sports event or whatever, or a concert. I bet your place is just out the door with people. How do you hope this event is going to unite the Rutherford community to support those affected by the floods?
Rutherford's a very strong presence when it comes to any kind of fundraiser, any time helping the community. It's a very close knit, strong community. The Chamber of Commerce helps out a lot. I mean, everybody's very involved. Nobody, sits on the sidelines in this town, which is very good quality for the people of the town and all the businesses to support.
Well, you went from being a pizza delivery driver to teaching yourself how to cook. That's pretty amazing, pretty impressive. Would you watch the Food Network and figure it out? That's very cool. Now
It's
you
been a
own
rough road,
Casanos, but you know what? That makes the best cooks. And I love, because I'm a total foodie. I used to work in the industry, as we mentioned. I find that the people who invent, who create, you become the best. You come up with your best recipes, and you're the person who a guy who's owned a pizzeria for 50 years will say, that's not how you do it. Meanwhile, your food has people out the door because you came up with it yourself. I'm just saying, just a digression. The people like you who are self-taught always have the best food. How does it feel to use your restaurant to give back in such a meaningful way like that?
It feels great. It's always been something I've wanted to do is embed donation. People that wait until, oh, it's the right time, I don't have enough money. We started at the gate here, just trying to do the right thing by people in community, and little by little, if we can grow it, there's a lot more to come, a lot of fundraisers that we have lined up. So it's just, that's something that, that was our goal when we opened the business.
Something because I'm not that close to you now. I used to live not far from you. I lived in Belleville for a while, and by Belleville, Nutley area, and not too far. But now I'm further west of you. Casano stands out, but I'm just seeing this now and going, what? You have a no slices, no delivery model, focusing on fresh, simple ingredients. So does that mean the whole point is to keep people in the restaurant to be community. Is that the whole point to what you do?
Partially, yes. We have a very unique setup here. If you can see behind me, we have behind me, there's two TVs, old from the 60s and 70s. Obviously, the wood paneling, the Tiffany lamp that you could probably see. So we try
Mhm.
to create a unique environment where people are, have nostalgia as soon as you walk in. Keep people here, but the point of the no slices, no delivery is all about freshness. Not having a phone is for no mistakes. It's very direct to make sure people receive exactly what they want. We have a very small menu, 4 things on the menu, and maybe 10 pies. Very specific to what we do. Very quality driven.
I love you. Like, I would give you a hug. I hope that doesn't creep you out. I think you are
Not at all.
phenomenal. That's just awesome. Now, for those joining you on Wednesday, what can they expect from the menu? Because you say you have specifics, and I'm seeing now you have chicken parm stracciatella. For those who don't realize, stracciatella is like a type of mozzarella, but a very creamy mozzarella, right? You have vodka sauce on that. That sounds. I mean, I'm salivating now. And you have the famed New Haven tomato pie, which I got turned on to by a former neighbor, and now it is my favorite pizza ever. You do not miss the cheese. You got to have good tomatoes, though.
So I
Which
do
do you
have to
recommend?
well, the New Haven tomato is my favorite, and so our other embedded fundraiser is $2 from each pie of the New Haven tomato pie goes to the Tom Coughlin J Fund, which helps childhood cancer victims and their families get through treatments. So
Oh,
not
God
only is
bless
it
you.
my favorite pizza on the menu, we did it just to bring awareness. So that's built in daily, every day that we're open.
That's awesome. You got to use off the air. You have to tell me what kind of tomatoes you use, because you got to have a really good brand of really good flavorful tomatoes. You can't go with the cheap stuff when you do a
That's how
tomato
you know a
pie,
good
right? You could
pizza right there.
Yeah, you could mask it with a lot of cheese if you're using cheap tomatoes, but why bother using cheap tomatoes? You're going to lose customers. So now you import your cheese from Italy. Use a custom bakery oven for that signature char on the crust. You have to have that. So what does your oven get up to, like 800, 900 degrees?
No, no. So it's not that high, and most people don't even cook that high. They just have something that could go that
Right.
high. We cook at 620 degrees,
Okay.
but it's the same thermal mass as a coal fire oven, and it was
Wow.
created to replicate that. So we're able to actually replicate a New Haven style pizza in this oven.
I love it. And that's New Haven. For many who don't realize, New Haven is believed to be there are arguments if it was New Haven or the Village, to be the birthplace of pizza in America, because pizza. Look, my family came from central and northern Italy. They didn't do pizza 100 years ago there. People think it's just like it's a nationwide Italian thing. Pizza started in Naples and Sicily. They each had their own version, right? And for those that don't realize, because I'm a pizza fanatic, the word comes from the Greek pita. Shock Italians, because remember that the Greeks controlled from Naples to Sicily. That was part of Greece for hundreds of years. So pita became pizza. It was just the pita bread that they eventually added toppings to. Tomatoes didn't make their way to Italy until about the 17th century. Before then, it didn't exist. So that's the birth of pizza. It was for poor people who took a little bit of bread, they threw tomatoes on it. That's all they had. Cheese became a bigger thing here, but the whole Neapolitan concept, as it made its way to New Haven, became kind of the birth pizza of America. I love that you have that. Did you have to go to New Haven and watch? How did you learn that type of pie?
I mean, I'm a pizza fanatic. So I've traveled all over the place for pizza. And New Haven happens to be on my list of top couple of pizzerias. You can't say the best, but one of the best up there is one of the best period is Modern Pizza. And I mean the uniqueness of the tomatoes and just the pecorino that's on it inspired me to bring it to my restaurant.
You're killing me. Hey, listen, I was a pizzaiolo for years. You ever want to do a fundraiser? You want to get me behind there with an apron? I will be more than happy. I did it for about 10 years of my life. Be more than happy to get back there and help out. My old Channel 7 days, I still have an audience from Channel 7. I'm sure would come out, and we could have a lot of fun. It'd definitely be a good thing.
Absolutely.
What's a website for people to get more info about Casanos?
We don't have a website, just Instagram. We run our entire business off of there. It's Casano's Pizza Power. Very simple.
Hey, that's the way to do it. You clearly have done it right. Dave Ligas, who's the owner of Casano's Pizza in Rutherford. Thank you for stepping up to help, and thank you for joining us this morning. I got to come by and have a tomato pie.
Thank you very much, Ken. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you.
God bless you. You bet.
Take care.
God bless you. And best of luck on Wednesday. What a good guy. I just love somebody with a passion who has a mission and he knows how to do it right. Good for him. It is 8:32 right now. When we come back, the days are quickly coming when you may be able to use an app to hail a robo-taxi. It's already a reality in some places. We speak with brand and digital strategist Fisher about it. Phone lines are open at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back. We have a flood watch in effect for much of the state.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Very good morning to you. Monday, July 14th, 2025, 79 degrees now at 8:33. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Flood watch in effect for parts of New Jersey. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta to explain for us. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Lots of thunderstorms and slow-moving thunderstorms. That's the key. Headed to New Jersey later today, and with that, the flooding threat is certainly likely, especially this afternoon. So be weather aware. Keep an eye to the sky because these storms will seemingly come out of nowhere. They haven't developed yet. It's going to take a little bit with the afternoon heating to help those storms form. And then after tonight's flooding threat, we're back to a hot and humid week with temperatures back in the 90s or higher, could feel like 100 by the end of the week, and then we clear out it just in time for the weekend. So the energy is certainly there. You see the sun rising on the visible satellite showing all of these clouds headed to New Jersey, specifically the northern half of the state through this afternoon. Southern New Jersey could see some storms later tonight into tomorrow morning, giving you maybe an early morning downpour for your Tuesday. But as far as the afternoon today, it just stays downright warm. Temperatures hold in the upper 80s, feeling like it's in the low 90s when you factor in the heat and humidity together. The heat index for the rest of this week, it feels like the mid 90s tomorrow afternoon, a decent amount of sun headed toward New Jersey. And then Wednesday, upper 90s. We're likely hitting heat advisory criteria come Wednesday, with those temperatures even feeling like 99 or 100 on Thursday. There's your 100-degree feels like temperature for Millville, and it still feels like the 90s even into Friday morning. So very warm weather ahead. It'll feel slightly above average over the next few days. We should be in the mid 80s. I think we'll get there today, but hotter tomorrow and the rest of this week. So some storms working through northeastern Pennsylvania. This cell in particular prompted a flash flood warning over toward Wilkes-Barre because it was just stagnant. It was sitting and moving so slowly. That's the type of storms today. There's nothing to push these storms quickly out to sea, so they'll just sit and dump rainfall over certain areas. Decent toward the beaches today, south of Atlantic City. I think you should be storm-free, and you'll enjoy the nice warm water temperatures as well. And then again, tomorrow morning, you have better chances of sun through the afternoon. So lots of clouds, especially toward the Monmouth and Ocean County beaches, but at least it's a low risk of rip currents thanks to the lighter breezes today. The Futurecast map shows the storms along the front that come through later on tonight. They're pretty stagnant. There's nothing really to push them out. So with that, we'll see some storms on and off throughout the day again on Wednesday. Better chance of seeing that wet weather. I think Thursday and Friday have another chance of afternoon summertime storms, but it's Friday night into Saturday. This cold front sweeps through and clears us out a little bit, cools us down just a little bit to enjoy a nice sunny weekend. Higher rain chances today. Tomorrow could see another round of storms, but I think by Wednesday and Thursday, more sun works through, helping us to climb into the low 90s, and we're staying in the low 90s even through Friday, with clearing occurring on Saturday and Sunday. So even though it looks bad with rain each and every day, they're not washouts this week. I think we'll just see a quick passing afternoon storm each day, especially beginning Wednesday and Thursday, where even at the shore, it climbs into the low 90s. That is unusual to have 93 at the shore with that pretty strong westerly breeze pushing in all of that heat and humidity. That clears out again for a beautiful weekend. Saturday and Sunday, lots of sun, Ken, coming up for this upcoming weekend. So I think we can do 3 in a row with nice sunny summer weather.
Let's do 10 in a row and I'll be happy. All right. Thank you very much, Mike. We'll check back with that flood watch in effect for the state. So definitely. It is now 79, almost 80 degrees actually now throughout much of New Jersey. And in terms of traffic, we have this traffic cam to show you. This is Route 17, the Garden State Parkway cam. And you could see that heavy traffic right there through that area. This is in Bergen County. Just beware if you're headed on the Garden State Parkway through Bergen County. That's what you're going to encounter right now. We have down wires on Route 206, both directions north of Linecrest Road in Andover. One left lane is closed. Crash on the GSP southbound south of 147. That's in East Orange. All lanes are open. Vehicles on the shoulder causing delays through there. And a crash on the GSP by Route 440. Woodbridge, all lanes open. Vehicles on the right shoulder as well. We have a truck fire on the New Jersey Turnpike by the exit 14 interchange. That's by Route 78. Right shoulder is blocked. And back to the Garden State Parkway, exit 143C, we have a crash. That's in Irvington with the left lane blocked. The approach to the GWB upper and lower levels right now, you take a look, you can see very good. It's only about 20 minutes in for the upper and lower on the 8095 approach. Lincoln and Holland are back to normal with about 20 minutes in for each. It is 8:38. When it comes to robo-taxis, driverless vehicles that can get you to your destination like Coke and Pepsi, there are two brands that rule the industry, Waymo and Tesla. Cities like Phoenix, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Atlanta, and Austin already have them in service. New York, too. It's on the way. It's being tested. So will it be the killer of traditional taxis? To weigh in on this today is brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on X, Threads, and Instagram with username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. Good morning, Fisher.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good. Ninth cup of coffee. It's a good thing. 14 years ago,
Yeah.
14 years already, back when I was 3, Uber came along and crushed the traditional taxi industry. Do you see
Mhm.
robo-taxis kind of doing the same to human-driven ride shares? Because
Yes.
as it is old, all right, so I'll let you go with that.
It is. And there are two main companies, like you said. Tesla, they're coming out with their robo-taxi. They actually just recently started it. Only in October of 2024 were they testing it in San Francisco, where their main factory was. They had, it's considered level 2. And if you have a Tesla, you know it. It's a full service driving, FSD. As a Tesla owner, you could buy it for $8,000 or pay, I think, $99 monthly to have this. It's basically the same service in Tesla robo-taxis. Little hardware tweaks, but still not that bad. And then Google's Waymo, as you mentioned as well. And Waymo is partnering with Uber. Now, just as a kind of aside, I was taking a Uber from downtown Atlanta to my house this past weekend, and the fare was $52. And in talking with the driver, he's only making $12, right? So now Uber can cut the driver out and keep that $12. And the other interesting part between the two services, Tesla and Waymo, is that Tesla plans to roll it out to us. Meaning, if you have a Tesla that's sitting in the garage and you're on vacation for 10 days, someone can summon your Tesla to take them to their destination. So you could make money when you're not using your car. And it's an actually very interesting, idea. Meanwhile, Waymo is strictly Waymo owned and operated. That's as far as they're going to go. Tesla currently is only testing their own fleet of about 20 Model Ys in Arizona, in addition to the testing that's going on in San Francisco amongst their employees. Austin is the first place that they're actually testing what would be considered level 4, and I'm not going to get into all the details, but level 4 would be completely autonomous driving, where there's no driver, no monitors, nothing like that. They're doing it with Tesla as this kind of hybrid, where there might be a driver in the car, there might be a driver tailing the cars, but they are fully autonomous in the sense that the driver is not touching the control. So it is interesting. Tesla is just dipping their toes, but also Tesla has way more miles that they can consider test miles, right? Every Tesla records. They have 8 cameras. Most of the recent models have 8 cameras externally on their cars, and they're constantly getting data. It's being processed by AI. Waymo only has about 71 million miles, and they only have about 1,500 vehicles. So it's, as Tesla is late to the party, their data is way beyond what Waymo currently has. So yes,
So you're
eventually.
saying that Tesla has Waymo than Waymo.
Hey, all right, I'll
Sorry.
leave you
Sorry.
guys
This is why
alone.
they fired me from radio. So no, but here's one thing that I'm thinking about. When you talk about the one thing you mentioned about 2 minutes ago about people kind of lending out their car, if you will, to make a
Mhm.
buck without
The
a driver.
Airbnb of vehicles, if you will.
Brilliant concept. Brilliant. But
Thank
I
you.
would be terrified that some guy would get in the car and pee inside the seat or puke or something. Now, I guess if you have their credit card, you could bang them for it right on the credit card if they did
Yeah,
something like that.
there actually is a service now. The name escapes me, where you can rent your car out.
Yes.
Instead of going to Hertz or Avis or Enterprise, you can actually rent your car. So it's sort of the same thing where you're giving your car to somebody. In this case, at least, I mean, yes, to your point, that and it's funny because every question that I ask an Uber or Lyft driver when I'm in a car is, so do you drive on like a Friday night, and what do you do if somebody puke?
Yeah.
Like it's the typical, like, I couldn't drive my car that way with the risk of somebody doing something to it. But you get insurance. Your insurance companies, if you're doing rideshare, automatically you're on a different plan. You can't use your normal plan.
That's where I was going to
So
go.
there's
That's where I was
yeah.
going to go, Bill Fisher, because the whole point is not you have to get a special plan. It's a little more expensive
Yes.
to
Mhm.
cover yourself for rideshare. You can't assume your own insurance will cover you because it could ban you if you don't pay the extra money, right? So check with your insurance
Mhm.
company.
If you're doing rideshare, yes. So there obviously will be some sort of additional insurance plan that you would have to have if you're completely not going to be in the car and you're not going to be driving it. And I'm sure there'll be some sort of offering where you can possibly buy insurance through Tesla, which you can currently if you're a Tesla owner, buy insurance through Tesla. So for the robo taxi, it'll definitely be there. And again, as you mentioned, Waymo is in way. I was going to fall for it. Is in significantly more cities than Tesla Robotaxi, and it is coming to New York City this year. So you will see this. Now, it's interesting if you go on X, you go on Instagram, and you hashtag Waymo, you will see instances where Waymo doesn't know what to do and it just stops.
Right.
And this is temporary road closures, especially in New York and New Jersey, where we have block parties all the time. You just shut down the street for an afternoon or an evening. If it doesn't know about it because it relies heavily on mapping, it might be a problem. So we'll see. New York
Well,
City is going to be a great test
yeah.
of
Well, the
things
other
that
thing
could
too,
go wrong at any time. Yeah.
Fisher, I was reading here that they did a test in one of the cities. It might have been Atlanta, where somebody took a Tesla. Somebody took, or maybe it was Phoenix, because I don't think
It had to
Tesla's in
be
Atlanta
Austin
yet.
if it was a Tesla and a Waymo.
Austin, okay. So I think they just started Phoenix, or I think they're just starting Phoenix too.
They're
But either
applying
way,
for Phoenix. Tesla's applying for Phoenix. Yeah.
gotcha. So apparently, then it must have been in Austin. They took a Tesla and a Waymo to the same
Hmm.
destination, and the Waymo dropped the people off in the middle of the street, whereas
Yep.
the Tesla drove into the parking lot. So I
Hmm.
hope Google kind of perfects that so that you don't get dropped off on like the middle of I-95. All right, get out.
Yep. See you later.
It's-
Yeah, Tesla relies again on the 8 cameras that are external to the car and AI to kind of train the models. Waymo, if you've seen a Waymo, that thing looks like a spaceship, right? The
Mhm.
Starship Enterprise. It has sensors, lidar, radar, and it's also using mapping. So that's another thing. When Waymo has to come or is coming to a city, they have to map in high def the areas so that it's aware of it. Where Tesla is a little more, it sees things in real time and real ways like we do. So it is interesting the differences between the technologies. But Waymo, there's
Thank
significantly
you.
more
See what
video
I did there?
of Waymos just stopping in the middle of the street or being confused by temporary closures and things of that sort.
There you go. And by the way, the rent your own luxury car company is called Turo, Turo.
Yes. Yep.
And when people started doing, because I actually looked into it, when people started doing it in the beginning,
Don't do it.
there were issues. No, this is before insurance caught up.
Yeah.
Private insurance was saying your car gets damaged by somebody else, it's on you. So make sure you check with your insurance company if you decide to go that route. But fascinating. The world is changing. And I did notice that in some of the cities where they're doing this auto drive feature without a driver, they're
Mhm.
actually charging a little less, still enough for them to make
See
more
how long
money at
that
the app.
lasts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But they're charging a little less. And that's the incentive for people saying, I would never get into a car that's
Well, that's the thing,
robo
is they
driven.
need people to do rides. So if they'll
Right.
charge a little less, you'll do it. But then eventually, when this is more mainstream, it'll be as much as it is currently. Fingers crossed.
They
No
don't
more.
have to worry about the cars going on strike. There you go. Just saying. Look,
Yet.
it's going to
We don't
happen
know how.
to
I've seen iRobot. I know what can happen.
every industry. Every industry. My friend Amy Fries, who was a meteorologist on Channel 7 with me for years, Amy, if you Google it, you'll see she has come up with her own company. It's
Yep.
it's a
follow her on
robo.
Instagram.
Have you seen it? Okay.
Yeah, it's
She
great.
has a robo meteorologist. I'm sure Mike knows about it, where her face
Don't say
is
that out loud. He
AI.
can hear us.
You know, her face is AI, and when there are weather, it's for now, she's marketing it as if you own a TV station somewhere in the Midwest and there's a big storm system coming through, the robot can kick in on camera immediately before a meteorologist can get to the station and go on the air with the emergency alert. I still think it needs some
I'll let you deal
perfecting,
with
and
Mike. I'm going to go.
yeah, there's never a replacement for the real thing, especially when you have an emergency. Anyway, all
It'll be
right,
the
my
Max
friend Brand.
Headroom of weather.
Yeah. Yeah. And talk show hosts and whatever. Brandon, digital strategist Fisher, found on X, Threads, and Instagram with username at Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. Thank you for coming on this morning,
Take care.
sir. Catch you again. You bet. You too. All right. In just a moment, we're going to talk with the CEO of Shah's Halal Food. Talk about a guy who started with a food cart and now has over 100. We're going to have the 100th location in New Jersey in a little bit. And by the end of the year, maybe 300 locations. Fascinating. We do have a flood watch in effect for the state of New Jersey right now, so let's not mess around. Get straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta, not AI, but the real deal with all the latest with our weather. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I did use a little bit of AI for this morning's social post. So see if you can tell the difference. If I wrote, I feel like you can. There is a little bit of like, okay, this sentence is very verbose. Nobody really writes like that. That's at least how I could tell, in that sense. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You be the judge. Go online on Instagram and check it out. As far as today, yeah, there is that flooding threat and a concern for it later on this afternoon. After we get through about 2-3 o'clock, you'll start to see the skies darken, and then the storms that come in will move very slowly across northern New Jersey. And that's the concern, the forward speed of these storms as they work their way across northern New Jersey, promoting those heavy rainfall amounts. At least the air quality is good today. Speaking of, it's rain we could use in northern New Jersey. There is not much of a drought except in southern New Jersey, where consequently there has been an abundance of rain. But look at the northern part of the state. This is a map we haven't shown in the last few months because we've been out of a drought. We're actually in a 1 to 2 inch rainfall deficit just since the middle of June. So going back the last 30 days, this is the area in northern New Jersey shown here in dark red that could get big amounts of rainfall. Well, the soil is very dry. So I think that runoff will be a concern into this evening, especially with those high rainfall amounts and all of those flooding rains that could potentially come in. As far as the rest of the country, New Jersey faring quite average in terms of that heat through the rest of the month. And then on average into the end of the month, the rainfall looking a bit higher than usual. Certainly have that high rainfall threat throughout this evening on the 7-day forecast. Going into tomorrow, there's less of a flooding threat, but I think in southern New Jersey could see some rain move through. And then it's just hot and humid for the rest of the week. Very muggy weather, high humidity, temperatures climbing into the low 90s, and then we clear out for Saturday and Sunday. The shore points also quite decent through the middle of the week. It still gets hot for you with temperatures climbing into the low 90s after that flooding threat tomorrow morning down the shore. And then Saturday and Sunday, a beautiful weekend forecast. Lots of sunny weather, hot, humid, but not terrible by this weekend. I think we'll squeeze out all of the showers, Ken, before we get to this upcoming weekend. So great beach weather on Saturday and Sunday.
All right. We like that, Mike. Thank you so much. And let's keep our fingers crossed again. I'm sure you'll have updates on the website, the ONNJ.com website, with the latest Garden State forecast and the flood watch all through today. So we'll be watching you online to kind of keep an eye to the sky. Thank you so much, Mike. It is 8:51 right now, and what started as a single food cart in Queens is now a global brand with over 170 locations and counting. Shah's Halal Food just opened its 100th U.S. location right here in Edison, New Jersey, and they're celebrating in a big way. With fans across the country and around the world, Shah's has become the fastest growing halal quick serve brand by bringing rich, authentic flavors to the mainstream. Joining us now is Khalid Mashriqi, who is the CEO of Shah's Halal Food, to talk about his major milestone, the journey from cart to franchise empire and what's next for the brand. Congratulations. Good to have you on this morning, Khalid.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you for having us.
You
How
bet.
are you?
You're an American success story. What does this milestone mean for you personally and to the whole team that is part of Shaw's?
It's very humbling, to be honest with you. Like you mentioned, we started with one mobile food cart, with no vision, just to start a business back in 2005, and throughout the years, it kind of grew into. We went from one cart location to about 22 cart locations in Queens, New York, small communities, small neighborhoods, and in 2016, we actually opened up our first QSR brick and mortar location. So from 16 until now, what's that, about 8 years? 9 years? Is it?
Yeah.
We
Nine
have
years.
over,
Yeah.
yeah, we have over 100 USA locations. So we just celebrated this past weekend our 100th in Edison because that was number 100, but we've actually surpassed that. So we're actually at about 109 right now that are open and operating. And we have
That's
about,
so cool.
thank you, thanks so much. We have about 44 in construction. And we just started franchising, I would say, about 9 months ago, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
You know what? I
And we
worked I worked in Manhattan. Khalid, I'm sorry to step on you. I worked in Manhattan for like 28, 30 years, and I lived off of the halal carts, the greatest food, and the lines of people. What do you think? First of all, tell everybody what halal food is, the restrictions on how the animals are processed, et cetera. And then why do you think so many people have immediately taken to the food? What do you think is special about it that everyone goes, whoa, this is delicious?
I think you nailed it when you said, it's basically a New York City cultural thing. You have the food carts in the city, and, in the early 80s, I would say 90s, they were really hot dog carts. And
Right.
then at some point, I believe it was the halal guys first, they started, servicing the taxis with the chicken over rice. And the gyro over rice, like the Greek gyro, basically over rice,
Right.
but just different flavor. And then they created obviously their own sauces. So we actually started in Queens, New York, in smaller neighborhoods, smaller communities, with our own recipes. And it's become a national, international phenomenon as far as taking New York City cultural food and introducing it to the world. For
For
us,
me,
that's
for me, by the way, for when I come to your Queens location, I'm going to do lamb over rice, please. Extra white sauce, pita on the side, lots of lettuce. Is that okay? Do I have it
yeah,
down?
yes, yes, definitely. If you're in New Jersey, obviously you're in New Jersey, correct? So you can just
Yes.
come visit one of our locations there. Right now we're expanding in New Jersey and other states, obviously. So we'll have something close to you.
I love it. I love it. So take us
You know
back
what?
to the very, very beginning because it's not, people talk about starting a business like it's nothing. It's an effort to start a business. So talk about, what made you say, "Hey, I got to survive somehow," and where did you get the money? Where did you get the idea? And just said, "Let me just do it."
So the story, to be honest with you, my father. So it's a family business. It's me, my father, and my two brother-in-laws. My two
Mm.
brother-in-laws are obviously married to my older sisters. We're all 1 year apart, so back to back. My older sister Tamina, her husband, his name is Shah. So it's him, and then Raheem. He's actually traveling right now, so they couldn't get on the call. Um, he's married to my second sister, who's now our franchise director. She was an educator with the Department of Education for 15 years, and she's actually our franchise director now. So we kind of, shipped her over, stole her from the Department of Education after 15 years. But so Shah and my father actually started the first cart back in 2005. I was in college at the time, and so after they started the first location, I joined the company when we were on the second location, uh,
Wow,
and
that's
then
amazing.
I basically finished school and I joined the company, and then I was just basically in the driving seat from there. So it's a
I
very
mean, but
yeah, go ahead.
But I have to jump in, Khalid, because not a lot of businesses grow by leaps and bounds by 80 or 100 locations a year. This is exploding right now. So you expect to have 300 locations by the end of the year? We got about a minute left. Tell us how the plan is to get there.
Oh, we have a beautiful story, by the way, and because the time is so limited, to get into the details, I think you're going to be sitting here all day. But just to kind of sum it up, you did mention halal. Obviously, ironically, it's slaughtering or killing the animal in the most fashionable way possible, right? So the feed is basically antibiotic free, and you give them a very natural feed. And then when you're killing the animal or slaughtering the animal, you have to basically do it in a specific method. That makes it halal. But again, like I mentioned, halal in America is always been for us first a religion aspect, but then it's become a cultural thing where you have New York City street food, and we just took it to another level and introduced it to mainstream American market. New Yorkers know about it, but the rest of the states obviously didn't, and we kind of introduced it there, and then international as well. So by the end of this year in the US, we should have about 150, 160 locations, and then we also
Love
have
it.
international operations.
Khalid, we got to cut you off because we're literally the show's over, but it's Shah's Halal Food just opened its 100th location here in Edison, New Jersey. CEO Khalid Mashriqi, thank you for joining us this morning. Congratulations. Come back again.
Yes, we will. We will. We'll have a longer
All right.
conversation next time.
You bet. We'll do a whole show on it. Have a
Yes.
great day. We got a flood watch in effect, so keep an eye to the sky today. Thanks for watching On New Jersey Morning. Have a great day.